She lives.
Hello.
Can you hear me?
Hmm?
Oh, now I got you. Okay.
There you go. You don't sound
I
too
just
bad.
Well, that's not what it does. It's not what it does.
I am so very sorry.
I was unavoidably detained on the route from the kitchen to my office.
By some furry little friends?
No. You know what's fun about COVID is, they talk about all the obvious things like, the coughing and sore throat and breathing issues and all that.
Mm-hmm.
There's so many like fun things that nobody really talks about. Um, and so the one of the major ones that's really giving me issues right now is that it infects your inner ear.
Oh no.
Yeah, and so my ears hurt. It's difficult to hear out of them. Like when you're up in an airplane and like how your ears need to pop. It's like that. They just don't pop.
Oh.
Oh,
Um, but
You
because
need
it's
to
the
see
inner
it.
ear, it also affects your balance.
Oh, fun.
So I feel like I'm on a boat at all times or drunk. So
Super
that's,
fun.
yeah, like when you're drunk and you lay down and you close your eyes and the room
yep.
feels like it's spinning. Yeah. So when I say I was unavoidably detained,
Girl.
That's fun, but in like a controlled setting.
Yeah.
yeah, I mean it's a little bit
That's
funny. The first few times I fell into a wall, I laughed.
What else can you do, you know?
Yeah.
the like when the dare officer gives you beer goggles and says you don't
Precisely.
want to do this, and you're like, wait, now I want to do this all the time.
Yeah, and I legit have trouble seeing. Like it's freaky.
Oh, cute. Very cute.
I'm so sorry. That is not the souvenir you want to bring back from Europe.
Yeah, it really isn't.
And plus, I got these freaking hives all over my arms. What less than 1% of cases that happens,
You're just
and I
special.
got yeah. Plus, I know it's Omicron because I have the night sweats, which is a really good time too.
Jesus
Just wake
Christ.
up in the middle of the night completely soaked through for no reason.
Super cute.
Yeah, no, it's been a great time.
I'm I'm so sorry, bestie.
I will try to remember to mute myself when I have to cough, but
Oh, it's whatever.
Yeah,
whatever. At least one
Anyone
recording.
who's coming here knows that they are not signing up for an A-list production.
Yeah,
So,
so I'm super pleasant.
we're a real fly by night
yeah.
group here.
Um I mostly have talking points for today. I have one question, but since the three of us haven't been like constantly texting each other every single life update for like almost a week, I figured this would be a fun little sort of catch up session for us with maybe one question. Yes, Zach.
I have one question that also doubles as a catch up
Beautiful.
question. Um, we should play a game called the Mona Lisa. Is it cake?
You're so right.
And speaking of which, how was Europe?
Yes, that's one of the things I have written down on our schedule. Please regale us
Good.
with your tales.
Yeah.
Um, it's hard to encapsulate it,
Of
Saw a lot
course.
of things. Probably more than we should have because my feet felt like I just wanted to amputate them at the end of each day. So that was
Whatever.
good. But crammed in as much as humanly possible, there is a long list of things that I have seen and done.
I love it.
Um, and so it was really surreal, I guess, in a lot of ways to be around some of those things that you see on TV so much. And it's like, oh, look, it's there. I can touch it. Still don't really believe it,
I love that.
but also a bit of a cursed trip in many respects.
Well, I know you were at the Louvre the day before the Mona Lisa caking incident.
Yeah, it was 2 days before because we were there on Friday and it happened on Sunday, I believe
How
it
funny
was.
would it have been if it had been on Friday?
Oh, I know. And it's a madhouse in that room. Like there's a long line with like, the snaky divider.
Actually, important question. Is the Mona Lisa an overrated piece of shit?
Yes.
It is
Well,
definitely overrated. It's
it's
smaller
a
than I
piece of shit, but like, it's overrated.
There's I don't think it's a TikTok. I think this is back in the days when Vine was still a thing. but it's these people, and they walk into the Louvre with a Bluetooth speaker blasting a song that whose lyrics quite literally are "Mona Lisa, you're an overrated piece of shit." And I'll find that video and link it, and I will write this down right now so I don't forget, because that is a real thing. And every time I think about the Louvre or the Mona Lisa, there it is. There's that sound in my head.
It's a nice painting, but there was way better art in the museum.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, way cooler things.
Yeah, they were talking about it, either Pod Save America or Pod Save the World, and they're basically saying the same thing. I think it's Pod Save the World. And they're basically saying the same thing. Like, there's art that's way better, but then there's just one room with like 100 people trying to get a picture.
Yeah.
I think it's just because of like, because it's considered so quote unquote iconic. Because like everyone knows that one painting in the Louvre. Like, I probably can't name another painting off the top of my head that I know is in that museum.
I
feel like that's part of it.
The only other piece of art that I recognized was the Venus de Milo.
See, I didn't know that was in the Louvre, so.
Neither did I until I saw it on the map they gave me, so.
When I was at the Hermitage, there were a couple Van Gogh paintings, but they're ones that I can't remember the names of. They were like more landscapes than any of like, you know, the Starry Night or anything, but that was extremely cool to see. Oh, also, I was gonna say completely unrelated and an interruption, but I just reminded myself that today I said fuck it, and I'm filming with pool hair because I've been swimming all day, and this is probably going to be the first of many, many times that happens this summer. Entirely unrelated, was not necessary for me to interrupt you with that. Please continue.
Oh. It's fine. You gotta provide the context, you know? I was just going to ask if I should regale you with the tale of our cursed trip home.
Yes.
Yes.
I would try to keep it as short as possible.
You don't have to.
But so first, the setup. This was how it was supposed to go.
Mm-hmm.
Because we were starting off. This was on Saturday. We were starting off the morning in London, but we needed to get back to Paris to get the plane. So we were taking a train from London to Paris, taking a plane from Paris to Toronto, and then getting my car and driving from Toronto back to New York. So 4 countries one day. But I planned everything out, put in extra padding time, thinking this is going to be just fine.
I mean, that doesn't sound like the most difficult thing in the world. Like,
right.
I've had a trip with multiple stops before, and it's gone okay.
Yeah. Problem is, you need every part of that trip, every leg of it, to go well. So it starts off at 3:30 a.m. London time, which is when we had to get up to get packed and leave for the train station by 5 a.m. So we do that. We have 2 hours, 3 hours of sleep under our belts. Our train's delayed by an hour. So we could have slept an extra hour, but instead we're hanging out in an overly crowded train station because all these people are also stuck there waiting for a train. There's nowhere to sit. So we're dead on our feet, standing for an hour.
Cute.
Finally get on the train, get to Paris, and we're like, you know what, it's no big deal. We put in extra time for this. We're still fine. So then it takes us a little figuring out to find the train to get from the train station to the airport in Paris, but we figure it out. Had to deal with broken escalators and stuff like that. We get on the train, which is supposed to be an express from the train station to the airport, no stops. We get about a third of the way there, and the train stops. The doors open. And then nothing. We just sit there. There's an announcement in French.
Oh, no.
That we don't understand, of course. And gradually, people start leaving the train one by one. And we don't know what's going on. Should we also leave the train? Is it going to get moving again anytime soon? We don't know. After about half an hour of sitting there, I overheard a woman say that there was an incident at the next station, which was why we couldn't go forward until they cleared it, but they didn't know how long that was going to be. So at this point, we're starting to panic because we're already an hour and a half behind schedule. And so we're like, what do we do? Do we get a taxi or a ride share? Let's get out of the train, go out of the station, and we'll see if we can find something. So of course, no escalator or anything. We had 2 suitcases each, by the way. Had to lug them upstairs and downstairs to get out of the train station. And then it turns out there were no taxis or ride shares because everybody else was in the same situation. So we couldn't even get that. And there's no other public transportation in the area. There's literally no way for us to get there. And while we're standing there stressing and trying to figure it out, the train leaves.
No,
Oh my god.
that
So
is a.
now, it's not even over.
I mean, in a
So-
movie, that's funny.
Mhm.
I mean, it would have been a little bit funnier at the time, but there's so many more layers. So,
Amazing. Keep going.
so now at this point, we at least recognize the trains are moving, right? So we're like, okay, so let's get back in the train station. So we had to lug our suitcases back up and down a bunch of stairs, and we catch the next train, which we then had to promptly get off at the very next stop because it was going branching off in a different direction. And once we get off, then the next train wasn't coming for another half an hour. So now we're 2 hours behind schedule. So finally we get on that train. It takes us to the airport, stops at Terminal 1. We need Terminal 2, but apparently there's a delay and it's not going to Terminal 2. So we get off, we lug our suitcases, we find a shuttle to get to Terminal 2. We rush, we're sweating, just extremely stressed out. And we get there 45 minutes before our flight, and we are told, nope, it's too late, it's closed, you missed it.
45 minutes.
45
Yes.
minutes.
They started boarding more than an hour before leaving time, and you have to check in at least an hour before your flight to get your baggage and everything checked in.
That's a bit ridiculous, at least by my American sensibilities. I really don't know what airports are like in any other European countries.
Yeah. So then, of course, we're like despairing. We went through all that rushing and panicking, and now we're like, how are we going to get home? Are we going to have to like do a bunch of layovers? What day are we actually going to be able to get there? So we got to go to the ticketing desk to rebook the ticket. But there's some confusing thing where you got to like give your phone number and then they'll text you a number, and when your number's up you get to go to the desk. I don't know, it took us about an hour to figure that out, talking to like 6 or 7 different people. Everyone told us something different. But finally we get to the ticketing desk, and lo and behold, there is a flight 2 hours and 40 minutes after our initial flight.
Okay.
And there were seats available by some like divine will. And so they book us on the flight. So we get through security and everything. We're like, oh, thank God, we're finally getting home behind schedule, but we're going to do it. That flight is delayed.
Girl. This is reminding me of my own just several god-awful experiences with United Airlines. Fuck you, United Airlines. You suck. Continue.
So that's delayed. It was like an hour and 20 minutes or something like that. But we get on the flight. We get to Toronto, and we're like, thank God, we're finally getting off. You know, we've been on this plane for like 7-8 hours. And then they said there was an issue with customs, and we had to wait on the plane for a while.
You take a little nap.
So we finally get off, and we have to go through customs and everything, and then figure out how to get to the parking lot to get my car, and then I had to drive home about 3 hours, on roughly 3 hours of sleep, having been awake for more than 24 hours at that point. Because I did not sleep on the plane.
Oh, I was about to say.
How far was the flight then?
It's like 2 hours and 45 minutes.
Oh, no.
I got home.
I would just fall asleep like while driving.
Yeah, I got home at 1 a.m.
If I was in a situation that went even half as wrong with my mother, I would
Brookes,
set myself on fire.
you literally were in situations.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you were in situations.
Okay.
I'm going to mail you the shirt now.
Yeah, right.
Or you
Yeah,
can get
I
your
love
own
this.
shirt, and we can all 3 of us can have the same shirt, which
Man,
I think
I mean-
would be really funny.
It was a day, man. Yeah, barely made it home.
Sounds like it, buddy.
Keep in mind, I was still on London time internally at that point, which getting home at 1 a.m. was 6 a.m. London time, having been up at 3:30 a.m. the morning.
Cute.
And the cherry on top of all of this, which I didn't know at the time, was that I had COVID that whole day. Because, like, I woke up with a sore throat and congestion, and I was really sore and achy, but we had walked like 10 miles a day for a week and a half.
Yeah.
I thought I would down. And I didn't feel like I had a fever. And my mom felt my head. She's like, yeah, no, you don't have a fever. It's probably just exhaustion. And I genuinely believed that. I only took a test the next morning just to be safe, you know? Because I never had a fever.
Wait, well, all the stuff. Sorry, all this. I just noticed all the stuff on your. Why is my mic not picking this up?
Oh,
I just noticed all the stuff on your desk. It's so cute.
Yeah, I set it up intentionally. Look at my souvenir.
As you should have. No, wait. Where's your little I noticed
Museum.
that too. Where's your little matryoshka, so you can have the most international looking items all at once? Ah, what the nah. Yay.
Next to my little Louvre pyramid.
Nice.
Yeah. So it was one of those things in retrospect where I'm like, oh yeah, I really should have recognized that it was COVID, but for some reason I really didn't think it would be without a fever.
Sometimes your brain just like, nah, bro.
Yeah. Which they were doing random COVID testing at the Toronto airport, so it's a good thing I didn't get selected because I would have been stuck in Canada still.
Imagine.
Which would have been really dumb because I wasn't around anybody after I left the airport, just my mom.
Yeah.
I haven't left the house except to go through the drive-thru at the pharmacy.
Well, and the other thing is, like, you may very well have not been contagious yet, so like it wouldn't have picked it up.
And I could have gotten it anywhere because nobody over there was wearing masks. But you know, it got me in the end. It took more than 2 years. But,
No, nothing.
Speaking of souvenirs, because I'm thinking of it. So you guys know that I was at Abbey Road.
Yes.
Mhm.
I can't believe you fucking went to Abbey Road without us.
I know, right?
Incredibly rude. Oh,
Well,
we're the Beatles shirt.
Yes.
Yeah. I got you guys a couple little things because I had to carry it around all day because we went there first thing in the morning. So you got these guitar picks.
Oh my God! Stop.
It's kind of a blur. It says Abbey Road Studios, and on the back it says Abbey Road Studios, where it all happened. With that, I got you guys some of these bookmarks. This is the artwork that's like written all over the outside of the studio.
Oh my God!
And last but not least, my absolute favorite thing in the entire store, by the way, I got one for me too, is a pen. But wait for this, right? So it has the Beatles written there, and the back says the Abbey Road store. But you see here is some little Beatles, and when you turn the pen,
oh my God!
Fuck.
My Lord, are you kidding me?
Oh my God! No, Brooks. You know what that just reminded me of? Have you gotten to the episodes of Last Podcast on the Left? I don't remember who it is. I think it might be Robert Picton, where they're talking about how he had a pen where when you flip it upside down, it's titties, and they kept doing the bit.
Yep. Never gets old. Yeah, so these things are sitting right here for you guys.
Oh my God, thank you.
I'm literally so excited.
Yeah, it took forever. I was trying to pick something out, and I just like kept. I was like, oh, maybe some keychains, but they already have keychains and they don't need keychains. Like, what are you gonna do with them?
I love I do love a good. I'm a simple woman. I love a good keychain.
Yeah.
I love a good magnet.
Yeah, and then I didn't really like any of the magnets. I almost got you guys these mugs, but I just was running out of room in my luggage.
That might have been a pain in the ass, yeah.
But it had all 4 of their names on the one side, and the back said where it all happened.
Aww.
That's really.
Yeah,
that's
they
really
were.
Thank you for thinking of us.
Yeah, actually, though.
I am honored.
I had forever trying to pick out something for you guys, but does either of you want the paper bag from it? It's right here.
I need to stop doing things like that, so Zach, that's all yours.
I'm the same way where like I'll just get sentimental over everything. I'll be like, this is the box that this came in.
Yeah, and like I need to stop because like I'm running out of room.
Yeah.
Last couple things I'll show you that I got at Abbey Road, but I got
things.
a t-shirt that says I walked the crossing because I did.
That, as you should have.
There were lots of people just standing in traffic, like because it's a regular road. People kept.
It's so funny. I didn't even think about that.
But
Yeah,
also,
But yeah,
like, your fault for wanting to drive on Abbey Road.
yeah.
Like, you should know better.
yeah, must suck really living there.
I'm sure it does, but that's a them problem, not a me problem.
There's not really a picture of it on here, but I got this thing that is a paper diorama
Oh,
where
that's so cool.
you have to cut out all the things and then fold and glue them together, and it's like a diorama that ends up looking like that.
Oh my god, I love it.
It looks
Cool.
so
Wait, hold
complicated.
on. Where's my... I think I have an OG Abbey Road. Give me 1 second.
Did you happen to walk on Penny Lane?
No, I didn't even think about that one.
Ta-da!
That's fair.
I don't know exactly what pressing this is because the inner sleeve is missing, but it's
Wait,
definitely old because my dad bought it. Oh wait, actually, hold on. I don't know if this will mean anything to anyone who watches this listens to this podcast, but it's Apple SO-383. So, she's old.
Yeah, I think this will be. They had one on display at the store, and it was really cool, but it looks so much more difficult than I thought it was going to be. So
That's
I know I'm late, but I wanted to show that I too am cool.
I love it.
I just ran and grabbed like all my vinyls.
I also have hanging on my wall a clock that's like cut out of like an old like damaged vinyl record, and it's like an Abbey Road silhouette. It's pretty cool. Well, I'm so glad that you at least had fun before you caught COVID.
yeah.
I'm glad that you had
you
a
might-
fun little adventure.
Yeah, I'm glad that happened instead of like you arrived and the next day you had COVID, and then you're just like stuck in your hotel room for
I
a
would
week or
walk
whatever.
into the ocean.
Yeah.
Like, not
Yeah.
to be dramatic, but
I mean,
I'm an
really,
incredibly dramatic individual, so.
if I were going to get COVID, that was the best time to get it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So lucked out in that respect. So it was largely a cursed trip in many respects, but we got lucky in getting our flight rebooked and the COVID waiting until I got home.
At least we have that.
I
Yeah.
did give myself probably it felt like a mild concussion at one point.
How?
Walked into a glass door.
Love it. Did I tell you one time when I was dog sitting, there was this little dog, like when I used to dog sit for these two little Shih Tzus. One of them was like, they were both senior dogs, so one of them, his eyesight was going, and one time I let him out to go pee before I was going to bed, and he didn't wait the 2 seconds necessary for me to slide open the screen door, and I think it's because he couldn't really see it all that well, but he just busted through it like the Kool-Aid man. And then walked inside and just sort of stared up at me like... I'm like, don't give me that look, you little criminal.
Are these the dogs that I met?
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, I have my own personal talking points that I just want to bring up because I feel like it, but they're a lot less exciting than yours. So
Oh no, I don't want to dominate.
I suppose I apologize in advance. But Brookes, you kind of like, you were away for this. One, we're getting a second season of Our Flag Means Death.
Yeah.
Which I'm extremely excited about. And two, we are getting seasons 5 and 6 of What We Do in the Shadows. Yes!
I think the world is finally catching on.
Yeah.
Like, nobody had heard of it for the first few seasons, and like I think it's becoming a thing now.
And I am eating the fucking insulation in my walls, bestie. I am going so insane.
Like, it makes me so happy that people have finally caught on and to the point where it's like, oh no, we gotta renew this like for years now. They're looking that far.
We are getting 2 more seasons. We are getting 6 whole seasons of this ridiculous vampire found family. And sort of a sub point to this, Zach, this is the beginning of a concentrated effort to bully you until you catch up. Because you have until July 12th, and we can and will start talking about that show on stream without you.
Sounds good.
So, putting that out for the public to hear.
It's on the record.
Yeah, it is on the record.
I almost feel like we could spend an entire episode just talking about the teaser.
No. We literally could, is the thing, and also the promo photos.
Yeah.
The fact that in the one where they're all at like the DJ booth, the fact that Laszlo and Nadja are holding hands.
Which, I mean, that alone is a talking point because
I know! And the fact that like she's like twerking on him in one shot,
yeah.
like again, that alone is a talking point. I'm so interested. I think it's gonna be so funny if they like, I can't talk about this.
Yeah.
Here's what I'm gonna say. I think it'll be funny if in, and you will understand this. You will not have context for this, Zach. I think it will be funny if in the first episode of season 4, everyone stumbles back into the house at the same time without having talked to anyone else first. Like this is like a first 5 minutes type thing, and they sort of have that like Spider-Man pointing meme with each other. I think that'll be funny.
Yeah, because I mean, definitely seems like they're all together.
So, yeah, that's all we can say. Zach, get your shit together.
Okay. Also, I don't know if this pod is the place for this. I don't know how this works, but I am curious to hear Brooks' thoughts on our podcast.
Oh yeah, you watched our episodes and the. Were you gone for 2 streams or 1?
2. So I watched.
One was Portal.
Yeah, I watched the speed stream.
We were so proud of ourselves.
I know.
I opened up the Portal 2 stream and saw it was an hour and 47 minutes.
Oops.
Sorry.
So I was like, you know what? I'll just watch the regular episode first.
That's fair.
So I started watching it, the one with Nate, and I only made it a few minutes in before I fell asleep because COVID.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
And I haven't gotten back to it yet. So the only one I've watched in full is the speed.
What did you think of the speed stream?
Yeah,
we were very proud of ourselves for doing that.
Yeah.
I messaged you guys. It was hard because I was sitting there in bed with my cup of tea and my cats, like watching, and I kept like answering. I was like almost out loud, like,
that. I love that.
Yeah, it was very weird because like I knew I was not on with you guys, but
that would have been so meta if you had just like recorded that and then we had like the Brooks like
and then that's the final
expanding
version.
our online presence.
Yeah.
With reaction videos now.
I did think about joining you guys on stream or the pod from Europe, but every time I did, it was not even close to the time.
That would have been really funny, but obviously you had things going on.
Yeah, it's the time change was just throwing me off too much, I think. Having no concept of what time it was over here.
Get.
Yeah.
So you all know and love me as the horror nut, but
yeah.
Last night I finally watched for the first time. I finally watched The Exorcist.
Oh wow!
I had never seen it up until this point.
Okay. So everybody says.
I was expecting it to fuck me up a lot more. I'm not gonna lie, but I've also
the
had
original,
people.
Right? The original, right?
Correct.
Okay, just making sure.
I don't think there even is a remake.
They did a few years ago.
Oh, ew, gross. Why?
Yeah.
Weak. Anyway, I really liked it. It was really, really good and absolutely excellent. Just like film overall, not just a great horror film. I was expecting it to fuck me up a lot more because I've had people I've just heard of people calling it like the scariest movie ever made for like years and years and years.
Yeah.
And I also have this weird thing where like for whatever reason I think that I am so much more like delicate than I am. And I don't know what it is. Like I was like I am going to like psychologically damage myself by watching this, and then I watch it and I was like I'm fine.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is. I think it's the fact that I was both weirdly sheltered and not as a child. But yeah. That was a fun little experience for me. Nothing all that interesting. I was just like, why have I not seen this yet?
I think part of it is that people sort of view it through the lens of time period.
Oh, and here's the thing. I watched it with my short king, who is a fellow insufferable film person, and we were just talking about like the sort of social cultural context in which this was released, I can understand why people lost their fucking minds.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because, like, there's stuff in there, like, not, like, I was expecting some parts of it to be worse than they actually were, but there's stuff in there still that's, like, definitely very tough to watch even now, and I'm like, this is from 1973.
Yeah.
So, in context, I really, really do understand. And actually, one of the reasons that I was super afraid to watch The Exorcist is because of a story my mom told me when she was a kid. She was 12, and she was staying at her Aunt Rose's house for like the weekend or for a couple days, and Aunt Rose was like, you know, you have the one aunt or uncle that'll like let you get away with anything. That was Aunt Rose. So Aunt Rose took my mom to see The Exorcist when she was 12, and my mom had to, like, they had like a finished basement that had like a pool table in it, and she was like, I think maybe she was gonna, like, she was supposed to be like sleeping down there or something. She was down in the basement by herself, and there was a light over the pool table, like one of those big, like, rectangular shaded lights, and she was down there by herself, and it started flickering after she had seen the movie, and she said she just bolted out of there. And then when her mom came to pick her up at the end of the weekend or whatever, she was like, you took her to see what? So that's my mom's story with The Exorcist, which is part of the reason why I had it built up in my head to be, like, utterly just, like, horrifying, because she was traumatized by it when she was 12.
There's something about scary movies that you see at a formative age, though. Like, it's like Poltergeist.
Oh, yeah, whatever movie... I think everyone has that one movie that they like, one scary movie that they watch at an age that they shouldn't have, that, like, fucks them up forever a little bit.
Yeah.
Is yours Poltergeist?
Yeah.
I actually don't know what mine is. I'm sure I have one. It's just not coming to mind.
Although I don't think I've watched Poltergeist since I was a kid, probably for that reason. And probably if I watched it now, it wouldn't be that scary to me, but...
I've never actually seen Poltergeist, and honestly, this is me getting way ahead of ourselves here, but I think in October we should talk about actual horror movies on stream, like some classics. I think that could be fun.
Yeah, like the one the other day. Was that just yesterday? I have no sense of time right now.
I don't know, what was yesterday?
With the decapitation.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Because we're only going to have so many, like, stream nights in October, right? So we gotta plan out. So, I mean, like, that could be one. Poltergeist could be one.
I would definitely say the one that we just mentioned. Man, what an experience that is. And I would love to talk about that with more people. But again, I'm not even going to say the name of the film, because if you haven't seen it, you don't need to know. It's better to know as little as possible. Oh, hello, Luna. Hello, Luna Tuna.
It's weird having COVID and jet lag at the same time, because
yeah, I'm going to say, that sounds like a lot.
So now I just, like, sleep random sets of hours, and I have no idea what day it is anymore.
Very cute. At least it's summer.
Yeah, that's true. I had to cancel. I was supposed to be running a 5K today. So.
Oh, sorry, bud.
Yeah.
That does suck. And my other thing, I have 2 fun canal stories. One is technically from last summer, and one is from 2 days ago. And the one from 2 days ago this was bizarre. So, like, oftentimes you will get people coming through the locks, like, for the first time, who are, like, you know, just bought a new boat and stuff like that, and they'll, like, ask you questions like, oh, how do I do this, how do I whatever. But the thing is that usually the people who have brand new boats are headed westbound, so I am not at the same level as them when they enter the lock. So if they don't know what they're doing, they are 30 feet below me, and there is no way I can help. And this happened on a day when I was running the lock by myself. So these people come in, and when you come into the lock, there are ropes and cables on either sides of the lock chamber, so you can, like, kind of, you pull up to one side, You stand on the side of your boat, you hold on so that you remain kind of close to the wall as the water rises and brings you up. So these people come in. Okay, one boat comes in. And these are people I saw like this. I recognize the boat name. I saw them last summer. They clearly know what they're doing. So they come in. You call it tying off, even though you don't actually like physically tie your boat to the ropes. So they come in, they tie off, they're fine. The sailboat comes in behind them, and for whatever reason, when they come into the lock, they kind of start like the boat seems to start drifting for whatever reason. They're trying to tie off on the left side of the lock, but for whatever reason, just like the way the water's moving, it was kind of windy, so there's like wind from below in the harbor like being funneled into the lock chamber. So their boat's kind of listing towards the right side. So instead of like just like letting go of the rope that there's one woman and two guys. One guy is holding onto the rope. The other guy has a pole on one of the cables because the cables are like stationary. They don't move. He has like, so one guy's holding onto the cable. The other guy's holding onto a rope. And their boat is listing over to the right side of the lock. So instead of letting go and just like tying off on the right side for whatever, because of the wind or the current, I don't know exactly what it was. But this guy, he's like got the rope now at a 45-degree angle as the boat is like drifting away from the side of the wall and starting to turn perpendicular into the lock. And they have their sail down because there's like bridges that you need to be able to clear. And with the sail down, there's a radar on one end of it. So it's like scraping up against the wall. It like bends and almost breaks off as they like almost turn perpendicular in the lock. This was absolutely bizarre because I have never seen someone have this hard of a time. And again, I am 30 feet above them. There is nothing I can do. And the whole time, this man's like he later like he came up. He was like, "Oh, my wife." So his wife is the one steering the boat, who clearly does not seem to be comfortable with this at all, and he's like screaming at her the whole time. And again, I'm just watching this happen. So when I finally like am able to like close the chamber doors and like raise the water, they come up. They finally like they only get themselves situated after this guy like lets go, almost breaks the marine radar off of his boat, and like situates himself their boat on the other side of the lock where they should have just gone in the first place. And also, the other boat is just sitting in the lock watching this happen as well. Like, there's just people sitting on the back of the boat just like, as this is occurring. Yeah. And this was like painful enough to watch. When I brought them, when they finally raised up, this was fucking bizarre. Like, this woman who was like on the boat with him looked half dead. Like, just rail thin, like it was like a super hot day, but she was in like leggings and a long sleeve shirt and had like a hat that has like that like sun protective like just fabric all around it, like wispy white hair, like skin almost like purple. Mm-hmm. And like she looked like she was like 90, but the guy who referred to her as his wife was maybe like 55. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, why are you, one, screaming at your wife when she's trying to steer a boat, which she's clearly not comfortable with, and two, she looks like she can barely stand. Why is she driving a sailboat? So it was bizarre. Like, I don't know, and I have never seen anything like that happen before. And it's not like I've been on the lock all that long. Like, this is only my second season, but still, like, a ton of boats come through over the summer, and I have never seen anything like that happen. Absolutely bizarre. Like, one time I saw a boat, like, get kind of blown almost perpendicular, but they were coming into, like, the lock that was filled, so there was a ton of wind blowing across the water, and it was, like, a 3-story yacht, so it was very not aerodynamic. And even then, it wasn't as bad. Like, it wasn't nearly as bad as this. I don't know. I just felt I needed people to hear this. Because this was so strange. And it was on such a quiet day, too.
But it's important to me that you know.
But it's important to me that you know this. And also you, as in all the people watching / listening to this. Now you know this as well. And that's important to me. The other canal story that I have is from last summer. And the reason that I remembered this story in conjunction with the other one is because a lot of people don't realize that when they are down low in the chamber and, like, the water's bringing them up, the things they are saying to other people on the boat will, like, carry up through this, like, big empty concrete lock chamber, and we can hear them pretty much perfectly. So one time, I was, like, standing by the railing waiting for this boat to come up so I could talk to them and, like, get their information from them, because you have to get, like, you know, what's the name of the boat? Where are you coming from? Blah, blah, blah. And sometimes when the water's coming up slow, because we, like, only have, like, one really small boat in the chamber or whatever, and you don't want to create a ton of turbulence, whatever, people will, like, write stuff in the grime that's, like, on the sides of the lock chamber walls. It's gross. It's funny. I heard these people talking, and they were like, oh, we should write Mike's name, like, we should write Mike's phone number and be like, for good head, call. And then when they came, and, like, I'm sure they didn't realize that I was up there, so they didn't know I could hear them. But when they came up, and I start talking to them, I'm like, okay, like, you know, can I get the length of the boat? Can I get the name of the boat, registration number, and Mike's phone number? And their faces when they realized that I had been listening to that, hysterical. One of the highlights of my lock career thus far. Also, I've started greeting boats with ahoy there in an effort to be more nautical, and I was doing this last summer too. One person ever has returned my ahoy, and it happened, like, 3 days ago.
We love that.
So, like, even all of last summer, when I was on the lock for, like, 2.5 months, nothing. Thank you, one random dude. You made my day.
I think my response would be, if someone said ahoy there, would just be, ahoy, matey.
If anyone ever says that to me, that is, I will lose my mind. That'll be amazing. Those are the end of my talking points / canal stories. We do have one question, if we would like to talk about that, because we're coming up on the 43-minute mark. So I think if we spend 10 to 15 minutes on this, I think we'll be in good shape.
I haven't looked at the docs. It'll be a surprise.
Well, there you go. The question I have is mostly just inspired by the fact that the weather is nice now, so it's swimming season. Is it lame to go to the beach / pool and just sit there the entire time?
Oh, why would that be lame?
Well,
Yeah.
I want to swim. I want to go for swimmies. I don't want to just sit
Well-
there and dangle my feet in.
Well, if you want to swim, then swim. But if somebody likes to lay there, I thought that's more what this was.
Yeah. Because, like,
Obviously, I'm not
sometimes...
going to be mean to people. I personally think it's lame. It's lame for me. I'm not going to go to the beach or the pool and not swim. And not that I don't like to lay out in the sun, because if I'm spending the day at the beach, like, there will be a good chunk of time devoted to that, but I'm not going to spend, like, from morning until dinner time at the beach and not go in the water.
Yeah, no, for me, I'm the same way. I can't be around water and not hop in.
Yeah, no,
But-
my parents used to, like, say that I was like a fish or a mermaid when I was a kid, because I love swimming.
Yeah.
I feel like it depends on the mood of the day. Like, especially with the beach, sometimes it's nice to just go, plant an umbrella, have some drinks, and just chill out, listen to the waves, smell the salty air, read a book, and then that's just the day. It's the atmosphere, not just the presence of water that's nice.
Sorry, I could have just made a really mean joke. I was about to say, okay, Grandma.
What's grandma-ish about that? Drinking on a beach?
Actually, whenever someone...
You're gonna take wheatgrass?
No,
Oh, it's the same thing. Get that reference. Okay, never mind.
Huh?
Oh no, one of the ads for Athletic Greens, they're always like, it's not a shot of wheatgrass like your grandma would take, and they're like, tough hit on grandma, like.
Okay. Also, whenever I think of, like, whenever anything that pertains to, like, oh, like, drinks on the beach, I always think of that line from the episode of Big Mouth where the principal is addressing the class and she's like, I have 10 days until I retire to Clearwater, Florida with my sister, and you kids have no idea how good it feels to be drunk in a lake. And it just makes me laugh. I don't know why. It's
I've been to a lake before. It's nice.
I can imagine. That does sound lovely. But no, and I love lying out on the beach. I will definitely like lie out, get some sun, do a beach read, but if I am there, I am swimming. It is going to happen. And again, maybe I'm just mean for thinking that it's lame, but it's lame for me personally.
It depends on what your goals are.
Yeah.
I mean, I like swimming. I used to swim on a swim team. That was like my thing growing up, but I just, sometimes you want to swim and sometimes you don't. Sometimes you want to get all salty and sometimes you don't.
That being said, I
Imagine
will
not
say
wanting to swim. This post
there's
brought to you by
something
Mermaid Gang.
there's something that hits different about coming inside and you're drenched and smell like chlorine and the AC hits. Like
Yes.
it's like your body takes a screenshot.
Yes.
Like
Or like there's something so like you're simultaneously clean and gross when you're like
mhm.
it's only the ocean. It doesn't count if it's the pool. Like when you're like all like salty, but you're like back in your clothes at the end of the day after you've been at the beach all day and you have like beach hair and everything. You're like yeah, you're like you were in like kind of gross water, but like you feel so cleansed because you've been like baking in the sun all day.
Speaking of which, we never talked about what our acceptable water to body ratio would be.
You're so right. But I have a guest in mind for that question that I don't know if
Okay.
I'm ever going to be able to get is the problem.
Sure.
So we can absolutely talk about it now, and I can like actually pull up the question in its entirety, or we can leave that in the air as a teaser for a potential episode with a pretty big guest if I can get them, fingers crossed.
I'd say we tape that.
Yeah, it doesn't hurt to wait.
We'll put a pin in that because it's a very fun question that I would love to talk about.
Yeah.
Save it for the time being.
Yeah.
The time being. Did we ever talk about that? Because that's been a joke between the two of us for a very long time now.
I put the emphasis. I didn't say for the time being. I said for the time being.
Yeah. Do you want to take this one or shall I?
Every single time, that's all I hear, and then I giggle like doing this live. I can't even remember.
It was like a Tumblr text post or something. It was about how like, it was a tweet. It was like, and it was like supposed to be a dialogue, and it was like, oh, my boss. We'll put this aside for the time being. Me, where's the time being? Where is he?
Can everyone else see him?
Yeah, and that's another thing I'll have to link because we have been like saying that back and forth to each other with a special emphasis for like years now.
Yeah, well, that was when you were still a student.
Yeah, I sent that to you when I was still like enrolled at Geneseo.
Yeah, every time.
Is that a Doctor Who thing?
No, but it feels like it should be.
Okay, right. I'm not way off.
It certainly has a vibe. I'm sure someone has clipped that text and put it over an image from Doctor Who many a time.
Yeah. But it's just a fun play on words.
So yes, for now the time being is in charge of that question. Thank you, friend.
Yeah, so it's great. Now I have this mental image of like what the time being is, and every time someone says, "All right, well, let's set that aside for the time being," I'm
in
like,
my
"Oh,
mind,
time.
It's some weird sort of like Slender Man, biblically accurate angel type thing.
Yeah.
It's very non-corporeal. Well, I mean, technically it is corporeal because I'm thinking of it as a creature, but like a very, very far removed from human, from any form of kind of like recognizably human shape creature. Yeah, there we go. That's the word I was looking for. I knew there was an EAL in there somewhere.
Yes, but we'll save that question for the time being.
Yes, we will. Yeah, I guess I will concede that it does depend on what your goals are for your beach day, even though my goals, if there's water, 99% of the time involve going in that water.
Although I think there's an important distinction to be made that I think it makes sense to go to the beach to just hang out on the beach. Like I used to do that every Sunday when I lived in Chicago, given that was like Michigan and not like an ocean. I feel like that
Of
makes a bit
course.
of a difference, but
Yeah.
but I think it is kind of weird to go to a swimming pool just to hang out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unless
Yeah,
you're going
because
to like keep somebody company or something you don't want to swim.
a swimming pool is like artificially designed to be in, and
Yeah.
beaches are just there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I
And
don't know, maybe the beach thing is also because like I don't live near a beach. Like
Yeah.
maybe if I like could walk to a beach, I would be more cool with just like sitting there. But like when I'm there, I'm like I will not be able to enter an ocean for quite some time after this. So I'm gonna take advantage.
Yeah.
Well, and the other thing is like what you're hanging out on with a pool versus a beach. Like a pool is like concrete or whatever, but beach is like sand. Sand is nice in and of itself. So
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, you make some solid points. Yeah, so
And
maybe my
especially
opinion would be different if I had an easily accessible beach for like the entire summer.
well, or when we rent that beach house for a week, eventually, you know, there might be a chunk of time where you just want to go and sit and drink, probably in the evenings.
This is quite possible. Someday, within the next 2 years, we will find out. I'm putting that time limit on it for us because I know that the three of us will just be like, someday, forever, if we don't put a hard limit on it.
Also,
I know
the
us as people.
COVID just kind of interfered with things.
Yeah. But yeah, I know us as people.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I think we did pretty good for first episode back together as a squad. Not that it was all that much of a hiatus, but we're back, y'all. And these episodes release after the stream, so it's not like I have anything even to announce about next week's, because you'll have already seen it, so not like it matters. Anyway, I'm great at this.
Kind of confused.
But yeah, hopefully guests coming up in the future. I really am trying to reach out to people. It's just the cold emailing game is you gotta just do it by numbers. Just send out as many things as possible and hope for the best. So hopefully things coming. Trying, I promise. And no breaks coming up in streaming that I can think of. So yeah, just keep your eyes on our Twitch channel and our YouTube channel and our accounts on Spotify and all that fun stuff. Anyway, as always, thank you, friends, for fighting with us. We appreciate each and every single one of you, and we will be back again next week. Adios. This week's episode of the Fighting with Friends podcast was hosted by Bridget Kelly, Zach Calderon, and Dr. Sarah Brookes. You can find other episodes of the podcast on YouTube, iTunes, Spotify, or your other favorite listening platform. Follow us on Twitter at BridgetKelly98, at Zach Calderon, and at @AndSarahSaid. Rate and review us on your podcatcher of choice. Like, comment, and subscribe to us on YouTube. Follow us on Twitch, and join our Discord community using the links in the description. You can also help support us via the Acast supporter feature, or consider donating to our Patreon. Thanks for listening!